Now to the race for '08. It's about to get a shot of adrenaline from a man known to millions for his star turns on television and in the movies, former Tennessee Senator Fred Thompson.
Right now, the potential of a Fred candidacy has a lot of people excited.
The idea of Fred Thompson, some outside force who comes in and saves the day.
The theme song of Republicans should be "Someday My Prince Will Come," and they're waiting and they're hoping, and so Fred Thompson is not late at all. His moment is here.
Someday he'll come along.
The Republicans have the blues, and they really see Fred Thompson as a guy who can help them get rid of the blues.
I think Fred Thompson is now, a sports metaphor, a great white hope of the Republican Party.
Since Thompson left Law and Order,
I'm running for president of the United States.
All right.
his campaign has stalled. You've talked about this broader threat in very stark terms as well, almost as an existential threat to the United States.
Yeah, it is.
Can it be defeated militarily?
It's got to be defeated primarily militarily.
But there's no centralized army here. Do we send our military into Indonesia, into Europe, into Pakistan? I don't understand how we could defeat this militarily.
Well, what's the alternative?
You tell me, you're running for president.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, you make my point.
In comes Fred Thompson, looking like the daddy party, if there ever was a guy looked like the daddy party, the Republican. Can he win this thing?
He does look like the dad. He's handsome, he's charming, he sounds like a president, he looks like a president.
He's smart. He's more policy-oriented, I think, than people give him credit for.
He's smart, he's articulate.
There's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of interest in Fred Thompson. There's a lot of talent there, as you know.
Thompson's obviously a talented person. I think a lot of people were saying, gee, you know, maybe he can do it.
In that particular case, from what I know about the facts or recall about it, I would side with the parents in keeping that child alive. I think.
In the Shivo case.
Yes. How could you decide otherwise if they told you that the child was going to continue to live? I can't imagine a parent or a spouse or a doctor deciding anything. If there's any question that this person might live, wouldn't.
But there wasn't any question in the Shivo case.
No, that's my point. I mean, as I understand it, she would have probably lived longer.
But they've done an autopsy. She was brain dead.
Well, I didn't know that. You know, at the time that was all kicking around, and everybody was asking my opinion based on what was in a newspaper. I'm just telling you what I think about the things in general. My original statement was on this, is that I don't know enough about the facts. Well, they made a big deal out of it. I mean, people wrote about it. Thompson doesn't know about Shivo for a long, long time, when in fact it was just trying to avoid getting into the minds and the details of this poor girl here. I think it's time we left her to rest in peace.
I think that Fred will be a very formidable candidate. Fred Thompson will be a serious candidate.
He's completely serious, and he has a lot of supporters, a lot of folks who have been waiting for him to come and say this, come out.
He will change the race the day he gets in, Elizabeth. All of the front runners, Rudy Giuliani, Mitt Romney, John McCain, will take a hit immediately, and the rest of the field will just get swamped.
There's so much uncertainty and tumult, the calendar is all scrambled, that maybe if there's so much chaos, Fred Thompson can be the guy who picks up all the pieces.
You've said now, in cases where a family is divided, according to the National Right to Life Committee, the benefit of the doubt should be given to life. That would involve changing state laws across the country.
No. I don't know whether it would or not. I don't know what state or whatever state in the union says about this. I don't know what the state laws say about this. I was asked my personal opinion about it, not to do a treatise or an analysis on the state of the law in the United States of America.
But what is your, I guess, what is your legal position? In the past,
I don't have a legal position other than it ought to be resolved in a state court system. We really need to examine what the state of the law is and what it would be, and it's hard to do hypotheticals in great detail. All I know is that I've had a pro-life voting record my entire career.
Fred's never had a 100% record on right to life in his Senate career. The records reflect that. And he doesn't support the Human Life Amendment, which is most amazing because that's been a part of the Republican platform since 1980.
You've taken to calling Governor Huckabee a pro-life liberal. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, it means he's pro-life, but he's liberal on everything else.
How do you explain why he's moving, he's rocketed by you in Iowa?
I got news for you. There's a new Gallup poll out today that has me a strong second among likely voters. So, you know,
in Iowa?
Don't be, no, nationwide. You know, Iowa changes sometimes.
There's going to be a lot of talk about his Reagan-esque appeal.
There were 2 references in just one of the many newspaper articles this morning that compared Fred Thompson to Ronald Reagan. One of them said, quote, he has Reagan-esque communication skills.
He's got that Ronald Reagan factor that is an echo for a lot of people that they love.
Now the question is, does he have Reagan's substance? I think he probably does.
A lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives look at Fred Thompson and they see Ronald Reagan.
You've talked a lot about Social Security, come out with a plan, you say, to solve what you call a Social Security crisis.
They're staring the bankruptcy of the system in the face.
34 years away.
If, well, it doesn't happen like that at the end of 34 years.
But Social Security can pay benefits for 34 more years.
In fact, well, is that good news? I mean, do you want to bankrupt it for your kids? Do you care anything about your grandchildren?
Alan Greenspan says it's not a crisis.
Well, I've never seen him say that. Now, if he says that, you know, I'd like to have a conversation with him. Well, what is a crisis, George?
The Republican Party wants to have Ronald Reagan run. He is not available. And Fred Thompson is the nearest thing. It's 6'6".
He's a big guy. He's what about 6'6", 6'7". He's a big guy to begin with.
An actor, knows how to carry himself.
He knows his lines. He can hit his mark.
He certainly has presence. Hollywood casting agents always spotted it.
He does have a presence, and I guess to a certain degree, if he were at that debate, he'd be towering over physically a lot of those other Republicans.
People like real movie stars, and even though he's not big time, he looks like a movie star. He's not just some guy that gets his picture in the paper.
I would try to stay away from him and not shake his hand if I'm on the same stage with him.
One of the many roles that Fred Thompson has played in many movie careers or many movies has been that of president. So
you have no executive experience. Why shouldn't voters say we need someone with executive experience?
I served on the Intelligence Committee. I was the Republican floor manager for the Homeland Security bill. I was chairman of a committee that had nuclear proliferation jurisdiction. I've been to China and Russia and to Pakistan.
You've never had to manage a crisis.
What is managing, you know, where the roads go?
What's the most significant piece of legislation you wrote and passed in the Senate?
I think that I helped write the Homeland Security bill. I think that was very significant. I like to think that it's helped us be safer.
That was Senator Lieberman's legislation originally.
Well, he was chairman of the committee at the time.